Hi, my name is Rick and welcome to Why That Car. Today we have Paul with us in his 1975 4-door GTS Monaro. So Paul, tell us, why that car?
Well, yeah, a number of reasons. At the time I was looking around for a classic and it needed to fit in the garage. It needed to be able to carry our kids around because they were just starting primary school, and we needed to be able to afford it because, you know, paying off a house and all the rest of the stuff, you just don't have much cash around. And a friend of mine told me about this car. It sort of came on the market, went off the market and all the rest. Yeah, so in the end, yeah, a deal was struck and yeah, just that's pretty much how it went.
Excellent. So HJ GTS Monaro as a family car, your kids must have loved it.
Yeah. Getting picked up from school, yeah, they loved it.
Yeah, that's good, that's good.
The sound of the V8, it was a bit of, and the colour, which is a factory colour, just yeah, a bit of a head turner.
Okay, so tell us a bit about the car. What colour is it and what's it got?
Mandarin red is the colour. Yes, just originally 308 3-speed auto, the Salisbury limited slip diff. Now it's running a turbo 700.
Okay.
Yeah, and a few other mods along the way, but yeah.
So for us watching at home, turbo 700 wasn't a factory option in one of these cars?
No, yeah, that's out of a VNSS. Originally it was a turbo 4, or 350, one of those two. The last owner did that mod, and that was part of the things that attracted me to this car because it was just more practical. You could just cruise around the highway pretty much all day with that overdrive, and it has factory aircon, tinted windows. It's now got central lockings, a few other, it's a bit more day-to-day usable, and at the time it was the second car, so I'd pick up the kids, do the shopping, whatever in this car, and just take it down Coles or wherever you had to go. Yeah, until that point where suddenly it was beginning to gain value and you just couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Then it became the weekender. What
sort of hiccups have you had to deal with along the way of owning it?
Well, when I got it, the engine was pretty sad. The cams in these things were made out of cheese. They were bloody terrible. So it had no lift left. It'd accelerate to 60 k's an hour and that was it. Basically stopped. So yeah, it was an engine out, rebuild. The transmission was still pretty good, but while it was out, rebuilt that, put a bit of a store kit in it too to match the cam, which is a Crane 286. Yeah, so it goes along real well now.
One of your best memories in it, what would it be?
I don't know, really, it's just probably picking the kids up from school, just they used to love it. Just getting in the back seat, chucking their bags in and off we'd go.
A bit of a question that I'm not sure if everyone likes to sort of answer, but what did it cost you back then to buy?
It was I think it was about 12 grand in my name, transferred.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which at the time, going back 15 years, was a fair bit of money for a car that I knew had a stuffed engine, but because it had all the features it's got, it's basically a Statesman in a GTS shell, because it's got the door cards and everything are more, because it's got power windows, it has the longer armrest with the power window switches and everything. So it's more almost a Statesman in a way, but it just had everything in the one package.
Excellent.
So I was prepared to go a little bit extra, and the colour, because when I got told it was Mandarin red, I thought, oh yeah, red cars. Then when I saw it and it's orange, it's like, awesome, it looks cool. So yeah.
What modifications have you done to the car?
What I've done, pretty much just sort out the wiring, because the wiring in these is it's pretty terrible from the factory, especially for a car that was highly optioned with aircon and all the rest of it. The fusible link wire was like a piece of spaghetti, which had just about fried itself by the time I got the car. So yeah, gone over all the wiring, just put in slave relays around the place just to make it a lot more reliable, and you can just jump in the car, drive it, and know you're going to get back at the end of the day, especially on things like the power windows, just to stop them frying and sticking, which they were doing.
So were the exhaust standard like that on these? They weren't?
No, that was another thing I didn't add to it. Yeah, it's just an old school look from 70s,
works.
80s, people used to put the Chevy drop pipes on.
Yeah.
That gives it a nice sound as you go through various roads. Originally, this car was owned by an Italian painter, and he just drove it as a daily car, as far as I know. So that's why it was converted to gas in the day. There are other mods that the previous owner had done. It's got disc brake rear end, which wasn't standard on this car. Also, the final drive ratio was 3.08. It's now 355, which works out really good with the Turbo 700, the overdrive. That's pretty much it for this car. Although I did put HJ's had an option for a wiper dwell, so like every other car has these days. So I put that into it. It didn't actually have that from the factory, but it was a HJ option.
And future plans for the car?
Yeah, just has a bit of an oil leak, as Holdens do. So I've got to sort that out. Not much really. Just enjoy it, drive it, and take it for what it is. It's not a show car, but it's nice to get it out on the highway and go to the odd car show or market, swap meet, whatever. So yeah, just keep it going basically. There's a few rattles in the back end that I've got to sort out. I think it's the handbrake cable smacking on the floor sometimes. Sort that out, and a bit of drumming in the rear end, and all those little niggly things that these older cars give you.
Yeah.
Remind you why you bought a newer car as an everyday car.
Yeah. Right, so Paul, we've gotten to know about your car. Now, I've got a few questions for you. What was your first car?
First car, believe it or not, was a 1976 Corona Mark II, which is a car you don't see around at all today.
Yeah.
And then I had a HQ after that. And that's another thing that sort of led me back towards these a bit, because that HQ we took everywhere. We took up fire trails where it shouldn't have gone, and places that you'd never take a normal car, just took it. Sometimes you'd have to let the tyres right down almost flat to get it out again. But yeah, it just went everywhere. We took it camping, shooting, whatever. It was just the car for everything.
Yeah.
So, I knew that they're a pretty good car as a base. So it sort of, led me back that path.
That sort of follows on to my next question. Is there a car you regret selling from the past?
Yeah, about 10 of them.
Yeah, I think we've all got that many.
Oh, yeah. One, or how many do you want to list?
What's the one you would, if you had the chance right now, if it was offered back to you, you'd snap up?
Ooh, it's really a choice of two. I had a GXL coupe, which was a nice car, just a 302 manual. I love that car, had a Cobra body kit on it.
Yep.
I'd probably get that back if I could. And the other car that I really liked was a 1979 Jeep I had, a Cherokee with a 400 small block Chev in it. And that was a real fun car.
Right.
That was an awesome fun car.
Okay.
But yeah, out of those two, the Jeep's more practical, it can tow stuff.
Yeah, but
it makes the right noises. But the Falcon's rarer, so what do you do?
Yeah, well, try and buy both.
If I could, I would.
Yeah. What do you listen to while driving your car?
Mate, the answer to that's easy. Just the sweet sound of the V8.
That's a very
In
good
reality,
answer.
you don't hear much more.
If you had a piece of advice to give people watching on something you've done with your car as an experience, what would it be?
Yeah, definitely sort out the wiring on these older cars, because they hang on by next to nothing.
Yep.
And they were really made not to last 40, 50 years.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely just go over it front to back. I mean, the rest of it's pretty basic on these cars. There's nothing much else, but yeah, the wiring in particular, because the last thing you want is your car to burn to the ground because you just didn't get around to it.
Have you named your car? And if so, what have you named it?
Well, I've called it a few things over the years.
As I'm sure we all have.
Never nicknamed this car. Yeah, a lot of the other cars I have, but
Yep.
this car, no, never.
Okay.
Never actually nicknamed it, yeah.
What would be a car, in your personal opinion, that you would scrap or save?
Scrap or save?
Yeah, just out of everything you've sort of owned, if you had the chance to own it again, Would you scrap it, or did you try and save it? And
Yeah, well, for me, I love old cars, so I'd save every one of them. Yeah, probably the only car I'd scrap that I had was the EB Falcon that I had. That was the worst car I ever owned in my life.
Yeah.
It used so much fuel. It just had one giant fuel injector. It wasn't multi-point, and it was shocking to drive. I reckon it got worse economy than this car. It was terrible. If
money was no option, and you had a blank check to buy any car you wanted, what would your dream car be?
Ooh, probably the Eldorado Cadillac with the suicide rear doors and the stainless roof. I think they came out in 1957. Yeah, just an awesome car. All the movie stars used to own them years ago, but just the options they had on those cars back in that day, they were just light years in front of anything else. Even the English cars, they just left them for dead in terms of luxury.
Paul, thank you very much for being on Why That Car.
Pleasure, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Why That Car, and make sure you hit subscribe and follow us on our socials. Thanks for watching.